You may begin every morning with a banana, a glass of orange juice, and a few slices of avocado because you believe you are doing something good for your body. For many people, that is a completely normal breakfast. But if your blood potassium is high, the portion size and the form of these foods may need to be reconsidered. The issue is not whether fruit is good or bad. The issue is how much you are eating, what form you are eating it in, and what your test results are telling you. Today, we are going to look at 3 familiar fruit habits that may no longer fit when blood potassium is high or when you have been told to limit potassium. Then we will talk about 3 choices that are often lower in potassium, helping breakfast remain sweet, refreshing, and easy to maintain. And most importantly, you will learn 3 questions to bring to your next appointment so you can avoid both mistakes: continuing to eat too much simply because you believe it is healthy, or becoming afraid and removing fruit even when your question's body does not require it. This content is for general education only and does not replace guidance from the person directly responsible for your health care. Throughout this video, when you hear that a fruit needs to be reconsidered, do not interpret that as you must never eat it. Understand it more accurately. Check your blood potassium. Check the portion. Check the form in which it is prepared. And check whether that warning truly applies to your condition. Now let us begin with the fruit that is probably sitting on the kitchen counter in many homes right now. Bananas are soft, sweet, easy to peel, and require no preparation. For older adults who have difficulty chewing, do not want to cook in the morning, or need something quick before leaving home, a banana can be very convenient. Bananas provide carbohydrates, fiber, vitamins, and potassium. Potassium is not a poison. Your body needs this mineral for nerves to carry signals, muscles to contract, and the heart to maintain its rhythm. When the kidneys are working well, they help keep the amount of potassium in the blood within an appropriate range. But when kidney function is significantly reduced, or when certain medications affect the body's ability to regulate potassium, excess potassium can build up in the blood. Blood potassium that becomes too high can affect the electrical activity of the heart. However, there is something very important that many people do not know. You cannot rely on how you feel to know for certain that your potassium is high. Some people may experience muscle weakness, tingling, or heart palpitations. But many people have almost no obvious symptoms. Fatigue, swollen ankles, poor sleep, or a heavy feeling in the legs can occur for many different reasons. They cannot prove that a banana is raising your potassium. The reliable way to know is through a blood test. So the first issue is not to look at a banana with fear. The issue is to look accurately at your habit. There is a major difference between adding a few banana slices to oatmeal and eating 1 large banana every morning. There is also a difference between 1 small banana and a smoothie containing 2 bananas, milk, yogurt, peanut butter, and a supplement powder. Each ingredient may look reasonable on its own. But when they are combined, that smoothie can become a meal containing much more potassium than you imagine when you look at the glass. This is one of the easiest mistakes to make with foods described as healthy. We do not eat too much because we are careless. We eat too much because we believe more must be better. If your potassium is normal and your care team has not asked you to limit it, you may not need to remove bananas. If your potassium is repeatedly high, the solution still does not necessarily mean giving up bananas forever. You may be advised to use a few slices instead of a whole banana, choose a smaller banana, eat it less often, or switch to a lower potassium fruit on some days. The best question is not, are bananas good or bad? A better question is, how much does this serving of banana contribute to my total potassium for the entire day? Before moving to the next fruit, do one very simple thing. Look at the smoothie or bowl of oatmeal you normally prepare. Does it contain a few slices, 1 banana, or 2 bananas? That answer alone can completely change how you evaluate your breakfast. The next issue is not entirely about the type of fruit. It begins when several servings disappear inside one glass. Since childhood, many people have heard that orange juice is the symbol of a healthy breakfast. When you feel tired, drink orange juice. When you have a cold, drink orange juice. When you want more vitamin C, pour another glass. A whole orange provides vitamin C, fiber, water, and a pleasant, sweet and sour flavor. But when oranges are turned into juice, the amount of fruit becomes harder to see. When you eat one orange, you have to peel it, chew each segment, and spend time eating it. Its volume and fiber help you recognize how much you have consumed. When you drink orange juice, the juice from several oranges can fit into one glass that you finish in only a few minutes. You do not feel as though you have just eaten several servings. But your body still receives the potassium and natural sugar contained in all of those oranges. For someone who has been told to limit potassium, the habit of drinking a large glass every morning may need to be reconsidered. The juice form also allows carbohydrates to be consumed more quickly and makes it easier to drink too much compared with eating the whole fruit. This is especially important for people with diabetes because blood sugar control is an important part of protecting the kidneys over time. But avoid both extremes. Do not treat orange juice as a drink that never needs to be counted. And do not assume that everyone with kidney disease must completely avoid oranges. Look at the automatic habit. Do you pour a large glass every morning simply because the package displays a fresh, healthy-looking image? Do you drink orange juice with a breakfast that already includes bananas, yogurt, or other sources of potassium? Do you treat juice like a refreshing beverage and pour a second glass without remembering that it is still a serving of food? The issue is not only the name orange juice. The issue is how many oranges have disappeared inside the glass. If you enjoy a refreshing fruit flavor in the morning, you can preserve that experience in another way. A serving of apple. A small serving of berries. Or another fruit that fits your potassium plan. You may also flavor water with a few slices of fruit, as long as the amount of fluid fits your personal instructions. You do not need to search for a drink that can flush the kidneys or detox creatinine. No juice can replace medication, blood pressure control, blood sugar control, or laboratory monitoring. A natural drink still needs to be treated as part of the overall diet, not as a remedy that exists outside every limit. Try one small action. Measure the glass you normally use. See whether you are pouring 8 ounces, 12 ounces, or more. And notice whether you often pour a second serving. The third fruit is not sweet and is not usually considered a dessert, but its portion can grow more quickly than you realize. Avocado appears on toast, in salads, in smoothies, and in many eating patterns focused on heart health. Avocado provides monounsaturated fat, fiber, and many nutrients. For many people, it is a valuable food. But avocado also contributes a meaningful amount of potassium. For someone who does not need to limit potassium, that is not necessarily a problem. For someone with high blood potassium, or someone who has been told to control potassium, the avocado portion needs to be examined more carefully. The difficulty is not the avocado itself. It is the superfood image attached to avocado. When we hear that a food is a superfood, it is very easy to believe that more must be better. 1/3 of an avocado becomes half. Half becomes a whole avocado. Then the avocado is combined with tomatoes, beans, potatoes, or other ingredients that also contribute potassium to the same meal. The plate looks natural, colorful, and free from fast food. But the total potassium can still be higher than the amount your body currently needs. This is an important lesson in kidney nutrition. Food quality matters, but the total mineral load matters too. A food containing beneficial fats may still require a smaller portion when the goal is to control potassium. And a potassium-rich food does not become a bad food simply because one particular person needs to limit it. Think of avocado as an ingredient, not the foundation of the entire meal. A thin layer of avocado on toast is different from mashing the whole fruit. A few small pieces in a salad are different from a large avocado smoothie. If you love avocado, the question does not have to be, do I have to give it up forever? Ask what small portion might fit within my total potassium for the day. You also need to look beyond the plate. Some medications used for blood pressure, the heart, or the kidneys can affect potassium. Some salt substitutes use potassium chloride, which is a form of potassium, instead of sodium chloride, which is ordinary table salt. For that reason, a low sodium label does not automatically mean a product is suitable for everyone with kidney disease. Sometimes the issue is not the avocado alone. It is the avocado, the medication, the salt substitute, and several other sources of potassium appearing in the same day. When you look at the entire picture, the decision becomes more accurate and less frightening. Now look at the actual amount of avocado on your toast. Is it a thin layer, half an avocado, or the whole fruit? The real portion matters far more than the words avocado toast on the menu. After hearing about these three fruits, you may feel as though the produce aisle is slowly becoming a place filled with warnings. But removing one item from breakfast solves only half of the problem. The harder part is replacing it with something that still makes the meal feel familiar. A good eating plan should not make you afraid of every color on the plate. An effective replacement is not simply about taking one food away. It needs to preserve the role that food once played. If a banana provided convenience, the new choice also needs to be easy to hold and easy to eat. If orange juice provided a sweet and tart flavor and a refreshing feeling, the new choice should preserve part of that experience. If avocado made breakfast feel more substantial, you need to rebuild fullness through the entire meal instead of simply removing the avocado and leaving behind a dry slice of toast. The next three choices are often lower in potassium in common serving sizes. But remember one general rule. They do not cure kidney disease, they do not clean creatinine from the body, and they are not foods you can eat without limits. Their value is that they can help you adjust the portion while preserving convenience, color, and enjoyment in the meal. The first choice is apple. Apples are especially useful when the thing you want to preserve is convenience. They are easy to find, easy to carry, and can be eaten without complicated preparation. You can eat one small apple, add a few slices to oatmeal, or cook it until soft with cinnamon. In common serving sizes, apples are often lower in potassium than bananas, oranges, or avocado. For that reason, an apple can replace the role of a convenient fruit that you can pick up and eat in the morning. Pay attention to the form. A whole apple is different from a large glass of apple juice. Unsweetened applesauce is different from a version with a large amount of added syrup. An apple is different from apple pie containing large amounts of sugar, fat, and sodium. The name of the fruit does not determine the full value of the food. Preparation and portion still matter. If you have diabetes, carbohydrates still need to be counted even when the fruit is lower in potassium. The second choice is blueberries. Blueberries are useful when you want to add a little sweetness and color to breakfast. But they also show the portion size trap more clearly than almost any other fruit. Half a cup of blueberries is different from a large bowl filled to the top. Because the berries are small, it is easy to keep eating without realizing how much the total has increased. Fresh or unsweetened frozen blueberries are also different from dried blueberries. When water is removed, dried fruit becomes more concentrated and easier to overeat in a small volume. Blueberry jam is also not the same as whole berries because it may contain a large amount of added sugar. A choice that appears appropriate is truly helpful only when the way you use it remains reasonable. The third choice is strawberries. Strawberries are especially useful when you are trying to preserve the refreshing feeling that orange juice once provided. Their red color aroma and sweet and tart flavor help keep breakfast from becoming bland. You can slice a few berries into an appropriate bowl of cereal, eat them with a simple dessert, or use them as a snack. But a small bowl of strawberries is not the same as a large smoothie containing strawberries, 2 bananas, orange juice, yogurt, and protein powder. The word strawberry on the cup does not make the entire drink low in potassium or low in sugar. Look at every ingredient. This is a very useful principle. Do not look only at the type of fruit. Look at the portion. Look at the form in which it is prepared. And look at what is being eaten with it. A small apple may fit. But if it is covered in caramel and eaten with a large dessert, the health goal has changed. A serving of berries may fit. But if they are inside a sugary cereal or packaged pastry, you still need to evaluate the whole meal. Foods do not exist in isolation. The kidneys, heart, blood sugar, and blood pressure do not work in isolation either. A good plan does not simply replace a banana with an apple and stop there. It looks at the entire morning. What are you drinking? Are you eating processed foods that are high in sodium? Are you using a salt substitute that contains potassium? Are you taking medication that may raise potassium? Are you forcing yourself to drink too much water because you believe more must always be better? One brief note about water is important. There is no single amount of water that is appropriate for everyone with a kidney problem. People at risk of kidney stones are often advised to drink enough fluid unless there is a medical reason to limit it. But people with advanced kidney failure, significant swelling heart failure, or certain dialysis plans may need to limit fluids. So, do not take a number from the internet and force your body to follow it. Ask your care team how much fluid is appropriate for your urine output, heart condition, level of swelling, and treatment plan. And remember that soup, milk, tea, coffee, juice, and ice can all count when you have been told to limit fluids. A gentle back massage may help your muscles relax. Slow breathing may help you feel calmer during a stressful moment. But these things do not make the kidneys filter potassium more effectively. A special drink also cannot wash creatinine out of the body. How you feel is worth paying attention to, but laboratory tests are what show whether eGFR or potassium is changing. And this is where the food list ends. Because the next 3 questions are what determine whether that list applies to you. The first question: what was my potassium level on my most recent blood test, and do I truly need to limit potassium? Do not ask only whether creatinine is high or low. Creatinine is used to estimate eGFR, which is the number used to estimate how well the kidneys are filtering. Evaluating kidney disease often requires looking at eGFR over time and checking albumin in the urine, which can be a sign that protein is leaking through the kidneys. A single creatinine result cannot decide by itself whether you need to reduce potassium-rich fruit. The second question: do the medications, vitamins, herbs, or salt substitutes I use affect potassium? Bring a complete list to the appointment. The word natural does not mean a product cannot interact with medication or affect the kidneys. The third question: what serving of fruit fits my current plan? Do not ask only for a list of foods you can eat and cannot eat. Ask for specific amounts. 1 small fruit, half a cup, a few slices. Or how many times per week? A portion turns general advice into something you can actually use in your own kitchen. If you have been told that your potassium is dangerously high and you develop chest pain, shortness of breath, unusual heart palpitations, or severe muscle weakness, seek emergency medical help. Do not wait for a change in your breakfast to solve that situation. Once you have clear guidance, choose only one change. If you have been told to limit potassium and you currently eat 1 large banana every morning, you may switch to a small apple or an appropriate serving of berries. If you drink orange juice out of habit, you may switch to a serving of whole fruit. If you use a large amount of avocado to make toast filling, Rebuild breakfast with an appropriate amount of protein and carbohydrate for your personal plan, instead of simply removing the avocado and leaving the meal inadequate. No one wants to reach their 70s and feel that every breakfast is a medical examination. A change lasts only when the meal still feels familiar, satisfying, and enjoyable. That is usually a more practical way to care for the kidneys. Do not chase a miracle fruit. Do not search for a drink that can wash creatinine away. Do not remove every food containing potassium on your own. Instead, build small decisions that can be repeated. Control blood pressure. Control blood sugar when necessary. Take medication as directed. Limit sodium according to your plan. Monitor your laboratory results. And limit potassium only when there is a clear reason. Bananas, oranges, and avocado are not enemies of the kidneys, but they may require smaller portions or less frequent use when blood potassium is high or when you have been instructed to limit potassium. Apples, blueberries, and strawberries are often lower potassium choices, but they are not treatments and they are not foods that can be eaten without limits. Before your next grocery trip, bring these 3 questions with you. Do I need to limit potassium? Do my medications affect potassium? What serving of fruit is appropriate for me? Then choose only one change for tomorrow. Measure the glass of orange juice. Check how many bananas are in the smoothie. Or look at the actual amount of avocado on the toast. One small action aimed at the correct problem is more valuable than an extreme 30-day challenge. If this conversation helped you understand fruit and potassium more clearly, share it with someone who is receiving too much conflicting advice about kidney disease. And subscribe to Inside Healthy Aging for more practical, careful, and easy-to-follow guidance for health after 60. Let your laboratory results guide the portion. But do not allow fear to take the color, flavor, and enjoyment away from your meals.